Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Knights Roundtable. It is your host, Nick Iricchio, and I am unfortunately doing the show Han style today. That's right, we are going to be going at it solo. Dalton unfortunately had to take care of a few items. I'm sure he will be nervously watching from the live chat, as he always does when he gives me full reins of the show. And listen, guys, there was so much great news this week that we decided to still have the show. And so here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to do a couple off the top, some follow ups to some stories, some exciting stories. And we're going to go into our main news topics today, ultimately culminating in our main story, the reason you clicked on the thumbnail. And that's right, we're going to be breaking down Glen Powell's next film that he's going to be making with Ron Howard, where he's collecting his next Ken doll movie role as a firefighter. We're going to have all the interesting details, and of course, we're going to be wrapping up the show, as we do at the beginning of every week, with the box office. So, with that down, we're going to have some clunky transitions here as I try to cut screens. And we're going to go to my lovely PowerPoint. Dalton normally says my lovely PowerPoint, so now it just kind of sounds very self-centered when I'm talking about it, but I'm proud of it. And that's okay. And our first story off the top, you guys might not remember this, but there's a little movie coming out at DC Studios called Clayface, based on the popular Batman villain, and going to be written from a script from Mike Flanagan, who has all sorts of horror movies under his catalog. He's actually, I believe, just starting or wrapping production on his Carrie TV series, which I believe we reported out on the show, and his new movie, Life of Chuck, is in theaters now, and I'm very upset I have not gotten a chance to see it. I've heard a lot of positive stuff coming out of it. But with all that being said, all we knew, there was a Clayface movie, so we needed a Clayface, and we have found that Clayface. And that's right, folks, Tom Rice Harries has officially been cast as Clayface. And now, you're probably thinking, do I really know Tom Rice Harries? Looks to be, I believe he's a Welsh actor from what I saw on Deadline. But, more importantly, if anyone has watched our Doctor Who reviews, we reviewed a episode called Dot and Bubble, which featured sort of this weird kind of Black Mirror-y social media type landscape. And there was a pop star, a very popular person in it, named Ricky Sunday. And, well, Tom Reese Harry's Ricky Sunday. That's right, we have a Doctor Who alumni joining the cast of DC's universe. Now, I'm not really too familiar with him outside of that role, so I can't really say if it's a good casting or a bad casting. There were some other casting actors in the rumor mill to be taking on the role. One of them, oh man, was the actor from Sinners who plays the main vampire. I'm totally blanking on his name right now. But Jack O'Connell. That's his name. I don't know why that just came to me. But I thought he would have been an excellent choice. But I think that James Gunn so far, when it comes to DC, has done an excellent job with casting. And now this is an Elseworlds, I believe. This is not part of the main DCU, is my understanding. And it's also not part of Matt Reeves' universe, but Matt Reeves is going to be producing it. And he had a say in the casting, and in their statement, they both said that they're very happy and very impressed and excited to have Tom Reese Harries on board. I'm going to quickly just look at the Deadline article to make sure I'm not missing anything. That is right. The movie is directed by James Watkins, who recently directed the Speak No Evil movie with James McAvoy, which I thought was very good. And it looks like we kind of covered just about everything on that. So that's pretty exciting there. And I forgot to mention at the top of the show as well, we love to have the conversation in our stories. You know, it's just me talking to the camera right now, so I'd love to converse with you guys in the chat. So please, obviously, if you have something you want to say or some input, please feel free to read it there. And when I get around to it, I will read it. Looks like we have one right now coming from Dalton saying, "You're doing great, sweetie." Thank you very much, Dalton. You need to teach me how to actually get the chats to pop up on the screen. I think that would make it very much better. But moving on to our next off the top, you guys might be familiar with Tom Cruise. Maybe you've heard of him, I don't know. Star of Mission Impossible movies, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning in theaters now. Well, there was a story we reported on a while back that the Oscars were officially adding a stunt category to the show. And I believe the movies in 2027 will be the first to be eligible, with it being in the 2028 awards season. And everyone thinking, hey, what the hell? Tom Cruise has done nothing but wonderful work for all of the stunts in every single movie he's ever been a part of. And you're going to just screw him like that and not give the Oscar? Obviously, it's going to make him want it more. But do not worry, guys. Do not fret. Do not be scared. Tom Cruise is receiving an honorary Oscar. That is right, guys. And it's well deserved. I'm going to pull from the Variety article as well. Other recipients of this honorary Oscar are going to be Tom Cruise, Dolly Parton, Debbie Allen, Wynn Thomas, all to be presented with honorary Oscars. Actor and producer Tom Cruise, choreographer and actor Debbie Allen, and production designer Wynn Thomas will receive honorary awards. Music and icon philanthropist Dolly Parton will be recognized with the John Herselt Humanitarian Award. This year's Governor's Awards, hold on, where do they get to the actual Tom Cruise stuff? This honorary award is given to honor extraordinary distinction in lifetime achievement, exceptional contributions to the state of motion picture arts and sciences, or outstanding service to the Academy, all of which Tom Cruise has done in spades. Cruise, one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, has long been a vocal supporter of theatrical exhibition. He is in theaters every week, watching a new movie, touting it on his own personal social media, and I respect him for it. He played a key role in reigniting box office momentum during COVID-19 pandemic with Top Gun Maverick, which earned him a Best Picture nomination as producer, was a great movie, and made an insane amount of money. Known for performing his own stunts, Cruise's accolades include 3 acting Oscar nominations for Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire, and Magnolia. I did not realize that he had 3 Oscar nominations. Listen, he's in a new Alejandro Inarritu film that's going to be his next project. I would not be shocked if we see his name in the category there, if not a win. I'd love to see it. But guys, I think that it is just a great day when Tom Cruise is going to be receiving an Oscar and for being recognized for the peril and insane stunt work that he has put his body through in the name of entertainment. But with that down, we are going to move on. That concludes our Off the Tops, and we're going to be moving on to our first main topic, and that is this. You may be familiar with a movie studio known A24, little indie studio, don't really have too many big hits, don't really have a whole lot of money. I'm just kidding, guys. It's A24. It's always exciting when we have A24 in the house, and this story is interesting, as it's actually going to be a re-team up. Well, not a team up of original people, but 2 people who have been working with A24 that are coming back to it, and that is that Darren Aronofsky is circling to direct an A24 film, Breakthrough, which would star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, when I'm talking reuniting here, this includes Darren Aronofsky's work on The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser, which led him to an Oscar, wink, wink, Johnson, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose next film, The Smashing Machine, was produced by A24, directed by Benny Safdie, which I think looks absolutely incredible and is a Jungle Cruise reunion with The Rock and Emily Blunt, so that's always great to see. But what is Breakthrough, you may be asking yourself? Well, let's get into that. So set in turn of the millennia, Southern California, the story follows an alienated young man who comes under the influence of a motivational guru whose intoxicating charm masks his morally questionable methods of manipulation and his own concealed darkness. Johnson would play the guru, which sounds to me like a hell of a supporting acting role, and this would mark Aronofsky's return to A24 after The Whale. Now, this is interesting for a number of reasons. One, I think Darren Aronofsky's a great actor. I really enjoyed The Whale. I said actor. I think he's a great director. I really enjoyed The Whale, so I think it's exciting to see him coming back to A24. A film, his last film gave him all those accolades through that. But what's more interesting to me about this is The Rock's career pivot as of late. So if you look at The Smashing Machine, he's directing himself to a more dramatic role, directed by a fantastic director in Benny Safdie, and it's a very physically demanding and emotionally demanding role. Moving into that, we reported recently that The Rock's also going to be starring as a villain in Martin Scorsese's next project. And now we have him teaming up with Darren Aronofsky. I think that The Rock has heard all of the discourse about him being one note, and he said, well, hold on a sec, we're going to pivot here, and I'm going to show you what we can do. And so I think it's great. I think it's a very interesting role, especially I think The Rock is a commanding presence on screen. So the idea of him playing this sort of morally questionable motivational guru, I can completely buy into. And I think that it's an excellent choice personally. But what do you guys think? Are you exciting, one, that Darren Aronofsky is coming back to A24, but that Darren Aronofsky is going to be directing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of all people? Let us know in the chat as we move on to our next story. But first, let's go check into the live chat real quick, see what's going on there. Dalton said, "You're doing great, sweetie. Team meeting soon on chats. Don't worry." So that's referring to the chat bubbles popping up. And he said, "Can't stick around. Got to handle some stuff, but you're killing it. Great job." He says that now. I haven't gotten to the box office yet, which is when it's going to get really interesting. But moving on to our next topic. There is a film reviewer, film critic on YouTube that I've grown up watching by the name of Chris Stuckman. He's been a staple on YouTube, a staple in the film critic community, film review community for a long time. And we've talked about kind of sparing details throughout that he's been directing his first movie called Shelby Oaks. It was a Kickstarter project. And it went through filming, and then it ended up premiering and getting acquired by Neon, of all people, which Neon has absolutely been killing it lately with movies like Long Legs and The Monkey. I know there's others, but I just named 2 Osgood Perkins movies. And right now they're sort of in the bidding war to get the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know that's happening. But we have a very exciting update on Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks. Let me cut to the screen share here. And that is that Neon has doubled the budget of the movie for reshoots. Now, you probably hear the word reshoots and you get kind of scared. You get a little skeptic. You get a little hesitant. But this is not that case, as the reshoots were set to ramp up the gore and the violence in the movie. And the additions and the reshoots allowed them to shoot in the same prison from The Shawshank Redemption. And ultimately, this sort of led into the project doubling its budget, which I don't really have it fully reported. I could check the article. I don't think was that high to begin with, but we're definitely still talking in the probably millions of dollars here. And you're probably asking yourself too, well, what resulted to this? Was the movie not good? Well, no. It was so good that they just thought that it could also be better with more money, with more resources, which is the great part of having a studio like Neon backing you. This is all a result of positive internal screenings, which led to the confidence with this move. And I'm going to pull a little bit from the article here as well, if you give me a moment, so we could talk about this here. The truth is out there and exclusive to IndieWire. IndieWire was the first to report this. Neon Shelby Oaks will open in U.S. theaters on October 3rd. So, guys, this is also more exciting. We're getting a spooky movie in October, which is the best time to have them. The crowdfunded horror movie from YouTube and film critic Chris Stuckman finished 3 days of reshoots back in early March. The cast and crew were on location in Cleveland, Ohio, working on a newly designed soundstage and inside the real prison museum from The Shawshank Redemption. The found footage effort was first made possible by $1.39 million in a Kickstarter campaign and the support of executive producer Mike Flanagan, who has mentored Stuckman for years. So you have a movie that is one of the largest Kickstarter-funded movies, backed by one of the best people working in Hollywood today, Mike Flanagan, now being backed by Neon, who actually acquired Shelby Oaks just days before it premiered at Fantasia Fest in Montreal last July. This is just all positive stuff. And I mean, I don't know if the budget had more maybe after that 1.39, but when we're saying we doubled the budget, we're going from 2 to 4, it's a very small amount on Neon's for a movie that, he has such a large following on this platform that I would be shocked if it can't scrape back its production budget a bare minimum. I feel like personally it's going to end up blowing it out of the water and getting probably maybe north of $10 million. So I think that's going to be very exciting. And, just my congratulations to Chris Stuckman and his team. I know that making a movie is not a easy task. And I think that having a strong support system like Neon, a strong support system like Mike Flanagan, and I think it's just all a great positive thing, and just positivity from your fan base and from your loyal viewers who've been following you for years. I think it's just all very exciting stuff personally. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for Shelby Oaks? Do you think that Chris Stuckman is going to make a great director? Maybe not all critics are directors, but personally me, put me in the excited column for this as we move on to our next topic. And that is this. Now, the early 2000s were a time of, one, theatrically released comedies, but more importantly, also stoner comedies. The stoner buddy cop movie, not buddy cop, but, stoner two-hander was a staple in comedy at the time, and no one did it better than Harold and Kumar. Now, you may be asking yourself, Harold and Kumar, what do they got going on? Well, they had, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, which is just one of the best cult stoner comedy movies out there. You have Harold and Kumar Go to Escape from Guantanamo Bay, and I believe they have a 3D Christmas one as well. I never saw. I only saw White Castle and Guantanamo Bay. And I think that John Chu and Kal Penn have both had very large and successful careers post Harold and Kumar. So this is news that I'm happy to report that I never thought we would get. And that is that a Harold and Kumar sequel is now in the works. So this is coming from the Cobra Kai creators. They are set to write and direct. Now, Cobra Kai was a franchise that people did not see a lot of viability in with Karate Kid after, kind of some weaker legacy sequels and Legends kind of underperforming at the box office. But Cobra Kai came out and just got this wonderful cult following that I think was very impressive to see. I personally haven't watched it, but I've heard from people that have that they love it. That's fantastic. They love the writing, the direction of it. So I think that this is a great fit. Now, as of right now, John Cho and Kal Penn are expected to return. No deals have been finalized, and I think that's mainly just a result of the Cobra Kai team just coming on to begin actually starting to writing it. But I think that if they already have a green lit and a go, I think that they have a very good plot in line and a good story that justifies bringing them back. It is unclear if Neil Patrick Harris will reprise his role. Obviously, Neil Patrick Harris cameoed as a fictitious version of himself and was some of the best parts of the movie just because he's a hysterical person. And Kal Penn and Neil Patrick Harris went on to later work together in some later seasons of How I Met Your Mother with John Chu, even appearing in him as well. This is a quote from them, from the article. "It's high time they puff and pass their wisdom onto a new generation. Just don't tell their kids." And I have a lot of thoughts on this. One, I'm excited as hell. I think it's great. And I think the idea of them just kind of, you being this stoner, kind of lazy person and having now grown up and being the kids and everything like that, I think it's a great place to put these characters in and a great way to put in the dynamic. It's the dad's day off. And I think that that's a great kind of direction to take this. And I think that John Cho and Kal Penn are both excellent actors in their own right. So I'm very excited to see, as they've developed as actors, what new they can bring to these characters. I kind of hearken it to like when they did Bill and Ted again lately. I thought that seeing them come back in those roles just provided a lot more depth and just more rich storytelling. Obviously, there was a lot of comedy in it, and it's still going to be a stoner comedy at the end of the day. But I think they're great actors, and I'm very excited for this. And I don't think there's anything in terms of a release date. Let me double check for you guys real quick. Nothing in terms of a release date, but just general excitement and just kind of bringing up old quotes from John Cho and Kal Penn, just saying that they would love to go back to it and that they text pretty frequently about it. So I think it's about time that it happened, and I'm very excited for it. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for another Harold and Kumar sequel? Is that something you're even interested in? I will be there day one personally. I'm excited, but let me know in the comments below. And before we move on to our next topic, I'm just going to go ahead and address some stuff in the live chat. We have Samar. Samar, how are you, man? It's been a minute since we have you in the chat. Asking when the release date is again. So for Harold and Kumar, there's no release date yet, but I know there's a bit of a delay. So you may be referring to Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks, which has a release date of, give me one moment, I believe it was October 3rd, but let me fact check that for you. Dead air. October 3rd, yes. So we are good to go there. So it'll be coming in October 3rd. But guys, now it's time to move on to our main topic here, our last main topic before the box office. And it's probably the reason you clicked onto this video. It's our main thumbnail, and it centers around an actor that I love, and his name is Glen Powell. Now, I think that Glen Powell is a very dynamic actor. He's very good looking, obviously, but I think he has a lot more range and depth that we're giving him credit for. And I think that in terms of just pure movie stardom, he is one of the last remaining movie stars. Like, to me personally, it's not really about the IP. I want to go see the next Glen Powell movie. And not a lot of actors have that box office draw these days. So when you have it and have someone of that magnetism, I think that it's very exciting and can lead to a lot of very exciting stuff. But now you may be asking, what is this role? Well, he's finally going to be a firefighter. That's exciting. We've seen him wrangling twisters. We've seen him doing rom-coms. We've seen him doing, oh my God, what was it? Hitman, where he played a variety of different character work now, but now we're getting firefighter. So let's break it down a little more, shall we? So Glen Powell is set to star in Ron Howard's Firefighter drama. Now, as of right now, it is untitled, but it has a script by Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey and Bumblebee. Obviously, Ron Howard is the director behind it. I did not list any of Ron Howard's movies because he's Ron Howard. How do you pick just two to put on here? I mean, but I think it's a great match. It's backed by Amazon and said to be inspired by real events, and the project aims to showcase Powell in a grounded, dramatic lead. And that's really what interests me most, because I think Ron Howard's an excellent director, an excellent filmmaker. And I think when you have someone of Glen Powell's stardom paired with a strong director, I mean, even exciting just looking ahead to his, Glen Powell's going to be in Running Man by Edgar Wright. You know, I think it's something that's going to be very exciting to see, and it being a drama, no less. Now, I do want to give credit before I cut to my single again. This did come from the Snyder newsletter, Jeff Snyder's newsletter. So, but the reason I wanted to preface that is because I am going to be pulling from the Hollywood Reporter, because Jeff Snyder's newsletter is behind a paywall. But this sort of covers the same text, but I want to give shout out that the original story did come from him. So Glen Powell is set to star in a Firefighter movie from director Ron Howard at Amazon MGM. Christina Hodson pitched the idea about a series of deadly Texas fires and is writing the script. The story focuses on two disparate childhood friends who are now accomplished firefighters and face a deadly series of Texas blazes while navigating their friendship. Now that's just right for storytelling. That's just right for drama, and I think one, this seems like it's going to be a two-hander. So what I am very interested in is who they're going to be casting opposite of Glen Powell. I think that's going to be an exciting story to be on the lookout for. But to me, this is all positive news. I think it's never a bad idea to have talent. I think it's never a bad idea to be merging talents together. And I think that Ron Howard and Glen Powell make for a great duo. So personally, me, I am excited for it. But what do you guys think? Is this something that you're wanting? Is this something that interests you? If so, please let me know in the comments as we double check the chats real quick before we move on to the box office. The box office. I had to do both there because Dalton is not here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up our predictions from last week. And as you can see, we were both wrong, as per usual. How to Train Your Dragon did come in that number one spot, followed by Lilo and Stitch, Materialist. And I'm going to pull up the numbers in a minute, but I believe Dalton just had 5 and 4 flipped here. I think it was going to be Mission Impossible and then Ballerina. But let's take a deeper look at the numbers, shall we? Let me go ahead and pull up the numbers. Whoop, and that's gone. Now, I don't know where that went, guys. There we go. All right. So, coming in first place, we have How to Train Your Dragon bringing in 84.6 million. Let me double check that I'm on the right weekend tab, which I am. I'll dive deeper a little bit into this here if it loads, which my internet does not want to be, which is fun. So we're just going to talk about Lilo. Whoa, now it goes. This is embarrassing, guys. Which brings its worldwide total to over $206 million. It has, I do not believe that there is a, guys, the numbers is not working for me. To the phone! We're improvising now. We got this, guys. Do not worry. Do not fret. We will get through this together. Hold for show, guys. Well, this is embarrassing. The numbers site just appears to not want to be working, which is fine. So, but we have it back to this main screen. So, How to Train Your Dragon came in number 1, grossing 84.6 million. A hell of a weekend for it. Lilo and Stitch came in second with just under 16 million. Materialist came in 12. Mission Impossible coming in fourth with an additional 10.5 million. From the world of John Wick, Ballerina, shitty title, came in just under 10 with $9.7 million. Following that, Karate Kid Legends coming in 6th with 5.2. Final Destination Bloodline still hanging in the top 10 with another 4. Venetian Scheme, the new Wes Anderson movie, coming in with 3.2. Life of Chuck, the new Mike Flanagan movie we discussed earlier, came in with 2.3. And still keeping in the top 10 is Sinners with another 1.5 million. Let's see if the numbers wants to work now, which it does. How to Train Your Dragon has a worldwide total of $206 million. I don't believe I have access to the budget and total. I'm not sure where that is when Dalton normally does this. How embarrassing, guys. But we're going to go take a look at Lilo and Stitch next. Guys, the numbers is not my thing. You can see why Dalton normally does this. But Lilo and Stitch came in second and has a worldwide box office total of $860 million. It is just shy of $1 billion. I actually don't know if it'll reach it. That will be a tough one to see. I mean, it's sure close, but we got a lot of big movies coming out in the next few weeks that even just competing within Disney. I know Elio comes out soon. You know, I think it's going to have a hard time getting there, maybe if it has some legs, but I don't see it maybe. But guys, this is nothing to be shy about. With a production budget of $100 million, this is already at 8.6 times its production budget. This is a huge win for Disney and a huge loss for consumers, depending on your thoughts on these reboots. I'm going to go back over here now, take a look at the Materialists, which had about 12, which has a worldwide box office of 15.5. Now, I have not, unfortunately, had a chance to see the Materialists yet, but I really do want to. And I know Dalton saw it. I believe we're going to be having a review on the channel soon. I'm not going to hold him to that, obviously, because he's not here today. But with a production budget of 20, it's at 0.8 times its production budget. It still has quite a long way to go, and I know it's coming out with some sort of mixed reception. Everyone that I have spoken to has been fairly positive on the movie, so we'll have to see how it does in the long term. Again, with all these big movies coming out soon, I think it does have a long way to go, unfortunately. And let's take a look at Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I almost said Dead Reckoning Part 2. It has a worldwide box office of $508 million. With a production budget of 4, which is obviously very inflated due to the writers and actors strikes and trying to work around that, just kept pushing the budget. And also, God, just some of the stunt work, the insurance on Tom Cruise alone. But it has a worldwide box office is 1.3 times its production budget. It has a very, very long way to go, and I do not think it's going to make its production budget back, unfortunately. This is a franchise I love, so you hate to see it, but they did go out with a bang, and I don't think it's anything to be ashamed from. I think with what they made, everyone should be very proud. And now we're going to take a look at the last thing here, and that is from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, which has a worldwide box office of $92.8 million. Now, I don't know where this is sort of ranking in terms of the greater John Wick franchises. If I had to guess, and if the numbers was working a lot more, I would pull up what the other ones look like, but I'm not going to sit here and flail around with that for a bit. But we're going to wait here for the worldwide total to come up here. It has a production budget of $90 million, so it has officially made its production budget back. Again, I don't know if this is going to be a situation where it's going to hit that 2.5 to be profitable, but it's a movie I very much enjoyed. So if you have not seen it, I would recommend checking it out. And with that, guys, we're going to be moving on to next week's predictions. Now, Dalton's not here, so I'm going to get his from him later there. But looking ahead, I'm going to go on the AMC app real quick to see what we're working at coming this week. I know 28 Years Later, I believe, is coming out. So that's going to be something to ponder. And I think that I'm still going to stick with... do I want to go with How to Train Your Dragon #1 still? Lilo and Stitch, Materials, Karate Kid, Phoenician Scheme, Life of Chuck, Bring Her Back, Dangerous Animals, How to Train Your Dragon, Ballerina, Final Reckoning, Bloodlines, Thunderbolt. Thunderbolts is still in theaters, guys. Sinners, 28 Years Later. Ooh, Elio. Forgot about Elio. I'm going to go Elio #1. I'm going to go Elio #1. I'm going to go How to Train Your Dragon at 80-40. I'm going to go How to Train Your Dragon. Actually, no, what? Screw it. We're going to get nutty. We're going to go How to Train Your Dragon #1. We're going to go Elio #2. We're going to go with 28 Years Later #3. And then we're going to go with... We'll go We'll go Materialist. And we'll go Mission Impossible in 5th. And that, my friends, will do it from here. Please leave your predictions in the comments. And if you're right, we will shout you out on the show. Thank you all for your patience and for sticking it through this long if you've been watching, or if you're watching after the live recording, thanks for watching. Please tune in later on this week when we do another show on Friday. It'll go a lot smoother when there's 2 of us here. And yeah, be on the lookout. We have some exciting reviews coming out. We have an F1 review. We got to see that early, out on the channel now. So if you have not checked that out, please do. And as always, links to all of the articles can be found in the description, as well as links to all of our social media channels. We're becoming a lot more active on those channels, so be sure to subscribe if you have not already. And we will see you Friday for the next show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you